I'm Nicole Antea. I'm 19 years old and I have cystic fibrosis. I was diagnosed at birth. I was actually induced because they saw that something was wrong with my intestines. Fibrosis in my condition can mean scarring of the lungs after infection after infection. Growing up with CF, I knew that I had to do a lot of things that other children did not have to do. I did the treatment every day. To me, it wasn't a big deal at all. And in fact, my mom encouraged me to help my baby doll that I had with giving her a treatment. This was her way of trying to help me get into the routine to realize, this is healthy, this is good, I need to keep doing this. I easily feel like I'm 90 years old sometimes, even though I'm in a 19-year-old body, because I would go up the stairs, and just that act of going up the stairs made me feel like there was a boa constrictor around my throat. This is my medicine drawer full of my medications. I have a G-tube in my stomach, and I set a pump, and it will constantly run overnight, delivering high calories and high sugars to me to help maintain my weight. I put this vest on that I have. It's very colorful to lighten up the mood, and it inflates with air, and it vibrates. And this is me doing my treatment. It messes with your voice a little, but it's constantly moving air in and out of my lungs. And this way, it'll help move mucus, help me cough it up. That way it won't stay in my lungs and cause infections. Research has absolutely made my life the way it is. It's changing every day, and they're coming up with new drugs, new medicines. Each day won't be easy, but through research, it can make each person's life a little bit easier, and that makes all the difference in the world.
My name's John Morthanos, and I have idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Idiopathic means it's an unknown source, unknown origin. Pulmonary fibrosis is the scarring of the lung, and what that means is tissues in your lung die and can no longer exchange oxygen to the bloodstream. Basically, going to tie my shoes, taking a shower, walking 20 feet, I'd be out of breath. It took 8 years from the first symptom I had until I was diagnosed. As a rare disease, less than 177,000 people in the United States have this. Most pulmonologists don't even know how to deal with it. When I was formally diagnosed, I was told I had to go on oxygen immediately, that I had to go into pulmonary rehabilitation, and that I had basically 2 years to live from what they saw of my lung. For a while, I concealed the fact from friends that I had pulmonary fibrosis. I didn't want people to think I was dying because it would scare them off, which it did. It scared a number of our friends off. The doctor said, it's time for a transplant, and they put you on a list. Then it's a waiting game. You'll get a phone call at midnight saying there's a donor, which means somebody died. You rush to the hospital, and we went there 3 times. The first 2 times after being in the hospital for 8 or 9 hours, they said, go home, the lung's no good. And on the 3rd time, I had a single lung transplant at New York Presbyterian. I feel great. I'm alive. I'm enjoying myself. Because there's an interconnection probably with many of these diseases, by funding and getting into the research, hopefully a cure will be found or a stopgap measure to prolong life.
My name is Gloria Pennington. I have nephrogenic systemic fibrosis, and because of that, I'm one of the founders of the Global Fibrosis Foundation. I was diagnosed about 4.5 years ago. I've probably had the disease for about 8 years, but they didn't know what it was. This is a relatively new disease that they have been able to identify. I had a kidney problem, and I was fortunate enough to have my son donate one of his kidneys to me, which saved my life. They tell people not to give you an MRI if you have kidney problems. And when you get an MRI, there is a dye called gadolinium. And this gadolinium is what gave me nephrogenic systemic fibrosis. The doctor that did the biopsy and the diagnosis said, I'm so terribly sorry. There is no cure and there's no treatment. It's a fatal disease, and we have nothing more that we can tell you. It was so heartbreaking because the first thing I thought of is I want to live my life with my husband and my children. I want to see my grandchildren get married. I want to be part of my family. I have a wonderful family. The hardening throughout my body, the fibrotic tissue is growing inside my body, and it is giving me a difficult time with circulation. It will go into my organs eventually, and the fibrotic tissue will go around my organs, and eventually I will die from this. I'm in a wheelchair most of the time. When I walk with a walker, when I can do that, I can go maybe 20 feet, and then I can barely breathe. I'm out of breath. I can't bend my hands. I can't make a fist. Even with all the pain pills I have, I'm still in constant pain. One of the things you find out in research is that when you have something that is a common thread like fibrosis, whatever benefits that we make for NSF will also help pulmonary fibrosis, will also help cystic fibrosis. It's very encouraging to have doctors that will do it as in a team effort. And that's why we put the foundation together as the Global Fibrosis Foundation. We've had people from all over the world let us know that they are going through the same things we are. And we decided to bring together researchers and try to get education to the public about NSF and other fibrotic diseases. And so we are raising funds to give grant money, and hopefully we'll find something that will have people not go through the torture that I've gone through and others have gone through. How are we going to find a cure for fibrotic tissue disease? That's what we're working on.